Hi everybody and welcome to Heel Heat. My name is George Coles and on this episode we're walking in Memphis. Topic of this Walking in Memphis, CWA from October 20th, 1979. Before we do get into this, I do want to mention this is only a partial video. I've said it before, I haven't brought it up in a while. I source my videos from a couple different playlists and I basically just randomize them and whatever comes up, comes up. I decided to go with this because I took a watch of it. I felt like it was worth reviewing, even though it's only about a 20-minute video. I still felt that the content was worth reviewing you. And if you want to see the video I reviewed, it will be down here in the description. With that being said, let's jump right in. If you haven't seen my shows before, I grade everything on a 1 to 5 scale. 1 is the worst, 5 is the best. For Walking in Memphis, we consider segment to segment, basically from commercial to commercial. We join this in progress, obviously, probably about halfway through the show, and at the end I'll explain what I think happened here. We get a match with Steven Regal, and no, not the one that would go become William Regal, a different Steve Regal, who I mostly knew from wrestling in the AWA as Mr. Electricity. He's going up against Jerry the King Lawler. This is Lawler in full heel mode. He has Jimmy the Mouth of the South Hart with him. This is an absolutely outstanding match. It's about 8 or 9 minutes long, and it takes up about half of this video, but to see Lawler in his prime and to see what command he has over the crowd, over the ring, over everything, it just reminds you how great he really was. And I thoroughly enjoyed this. Ultimately, Lawler picks up the win where he questionably hit Regal with a weapon. You didn't really see the weapon, but they could have said it was a weapon and not did it. That wouldn't have been the first time. With the way cameras were at this time, that happened a lot where they said a weapon was passed when there wasn't anything, because the camera wouldn't have picked it up anyway. For that, I'm giving that whole segment a 4. I thought it was rather good. We come back for our second segment of the show, an interview with Jerry Lawler and Jimmy Hart. Hart does very little talking here. They're mostly talking about Lawler winning the Southern Heavyweight Championship from Bill Dundee and having a rematch upcoming with Bill Dundee. Fantastic promo, again, showcasing Jerry Lawler in what a lot of people consider the prime of his career, and I find it hard to argue with that. All of the video I see from this era, from like 77 about 82, Jerry Lawler was as good or better than anybody in the wrestling business at the time. That's including Ric Flair, Terry Funk, the Briscoe brothers, Bob Backlund, who was the WWF champion, Dusty Rhodes, everybody that was out there doing their thing. He was just as good, if not better. This is another fantastic promo. Like I said, I'm giving this segment a 5. Then we go to the third and final segment of the show, and like I said, it was very short, so this is going to be a short video. We get Bill Dundee talking about putting Jimmy Hart in a cage, which they have there, which looks like it's some kind of cage you would see like to transport an animal or something. That draws out Jerry Lawler and Jimmy Hart, who attack him. Ultimately, they get the upper hand on Dundee. They have him basically around the ring post, where Jimmy Hart gives Jerry Lawler a can of spray paint, and he spray paints a yellow streak down the back. Again, something that we've seen a million times in wrestling, just a classic angle. I thought this was utterly fantastic as well. I'm giving this segment a 5 as well. Anytime you could get Dundee and Lawler and even include Jimmy Hart, it makes it a great segment. Overall, I thought this was fantastic. I'm giving it a 5 overall. I thought everything was great here. And I'm going to go into the reasons why I think it is the way it is. For those of you that are too young to know about VCRs, and especially this era of VCRs, VCR tapes at this time were very expensive. I believe they were somewhere around $20 a piece. I don't know, because I didn't actually own a VCR, and I was only 2 at the time. I wouldn't have known how much everything cost. We didn't own a VCR in my household till like about 85. But here, this was the very beginning of that technology. Think about it like, let's say a new video game system. Let's say a PlayStation 5. A PlayStation 5 comes out, it's set at $700, we'll say. Then you get 2-3 years down the road, they start knocking it down to $500. 4 years down the road, you could probably pick up one for $300. Like I'm pointing out here, this was for very earlier adapters of the technology. So what most likely happened is whoever recorded this was a Lawler fan, and they cut out every other segment that didn't have Lawler in it. And this was probably part of a bigger video cassette where they had more segments from other shows with Jerry Lawler that they could go back and watch. because Memphis famously didn't save any of their recordings. They saved some, and a lot of this, believe it or not, a lot of the video that you see out there is from Jim Cornette's library that's got out there somehow that he shared with people over the years. But I digress. I would definitely recommend watching this, especially if you're only familiar with the Attitude Era, puppies loving, lecherous old man Jerry Lawler. Go back here and see Jerry Lawler in his element and see how great he really was. This was a fantastic show. Again, overall, I'm giving it a 5. With all that being said, let's smash that like button, share the video, subscribe if you haven't. If you see that button that says join over there, that's how you become a page member. I would definitely appreciate it if you decided to click that. It would help out the channel immensely. If you made it all the way to the end, there's nothing else we could put on this episode other than Lawler, so put Jerry Lawler or the King or just Lawler in the comments if you to let me know you made it to the end. With all that being said, my name is George Coles, and we've been walking in Memphis.